Namaskar, good evening. You are watching Rajya Sabha television. I am Smriti Rastogi with News Tonight. Let's begin the bulletin with the top headlines. On National Unity Day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi dedicates Statue of Unity to the nation, calls the 182-meter tribute to Iron Man Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel a testimony of India's engineering and technological expertise. Finance Ministry asserts it has always nurtured and respected autonomy of the Reserve Bank of India within the framework of the RBI Act, confirms it has held extensive consultations with the central bank from time to time in public interest. Big boost for economy. India climbs 23 points further to 77th place in World Bank's Ease of Doing Business, becomes top ranked in South Asia for the first time and third among BRICS nations. Supreme Court asks Centre to disclose details of pricing and choice of offset partner in Rafale fighter jet deal within 10 days. Says if they can't be disclosed under the Official Secrets Act, it should file an affidavit stating this. And day after the Maoist attack in Chhattisgarh, Chief Minister Raman Singh reviews law and order situation, directs officials to intensify anti-Naxalite operation in Dantewada district ahead of the assembly elections. In a historic moment, Prime Minister Narendra Modi dedicated to the country the 182-meter tall statue of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Statue of Unity, the tallest in the world. Unveiling the statue on 143rd birth anniversary of Iron Man Sardar Patel, Prime Minister Modi said the statue will serve as a reminder about Patel's determination with which he unified the country.
Helicopters showering petals on the world's tallest statue, the Statue of Unity. The imposing 182-meter tall tribute to the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. The engineering and architectural marvel was unveiled for the world by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday at a grand ceremony in Kevadia in Gujarat. Modi poured soil and Narmada water into a kalash to mark the dedication to the nation. He said the statue will serve as a reminder about Patel's determination with which he prevented the country from integrating into pieces.
आज जब धरती से लेकर के आसमान तक सरदार साहब का अभिषेक हो रहा है, तब भारत ने न सिर्फ अपने लिए एक नया इतिहास भी रचा है, बल्कि भविष्य के लिए प्रेरणा का गगनचुंबी आधार भी तैयार किया है.
Prime Minister Modi had laid the foundation stone for the statue in 2013 during his tenure as Gujarat Chief Minister. The statue has been built to honor the nationalist leader who carried out the monumental task of merging 565 princely states into the Indian Union at the time of independence. Inaugurating the gigantic engineering masterpiece, Prime Minister Modi said, if Sardar Patel had not united the country, we would have needed a visa to see lions or pay homage at Somnath or view Charminar in Hyderabad.
पूरी दुनिया को, हमारी भावी पीढ़ियों को उस व्यक्ति के साहस, सामर्थ्य और संकल्प की याद दिलाती रहेगी, जिसने मां भारती को खंड-खंड टुकड़ों में करने की जो साजिश को नाकाम करने का पवित्र कार्य किया था.
Prime Minister Modi also unveiled the Wall of Unity that has been created with earth samples collected from villages across the country. He said the government is walking on the path shown by Patel. He also slammed those criticizing the decision to build the monument.
मुझे खुशी है कि जो सपना सरदार साहब ने देखा था, देश आज उसको पूरा करने की दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहा है। वहीं हमारी सरकार ने जीएसटी के माध्यम से देश का आर्थिक एकीकरण किया है।
Prime Minister Modi also visited the museum and a viewing gallery created at a height of 135 meters inside the statue. The gallery is meant to provide a panoramic view of the dam and nearby mountain ranges. The imposing monument, built on an islet Sadhu Bet near Sardar Sarovar Dam in Gujarat's Narmada district, is twice the height of the Statue of Liberty in the US. The statue was designed by Padma Bhushan winning sculptor Ramvi Suthar and has been built by Larsen and Toubro and the state-run Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam Limited. It took about 250 engineers and 3,400 labourers to construct the statue in 33 months. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India on Wednesday observed Rashtriya Ekta Divas, also known as National Unity Day, to commemorate the 143rd birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. President Ram Nath Kovind paid floral tributes to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel on his birth anniversary at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Officers and staff of Rashtrapati Bhavan also paid floral tributes in front of a portrait of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. In the morning, a special function held at the capital's Patel Chowk. President Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu paid floral tributes at Sardar Patel's statue. Home Minister Rajnath Singh and MOS for Housing and Urban Affairs, Hardeep Singh Puri, were also present on the occasion. In another event, Home Minister Rajnath Singh flagged off the Run for Unity on the occasion from the Major Dhyan Chand National Stadium in New Delhi. Before the run, participants took a pledge to protect the unity and integrity of India. Meanwhile, Rajya Sabha Secretary General Deshdeepak Verma administered the unity oath to all the officials of the Rajya Sabha Secretariat. The pledge is to protect and preserve the unity, integrity and security of the nation, and also to resolve to make individual contribution to ensure internal security of India.
राष्ट्रीय एकता दिवस शपथ मैं सत्यनिष्ठा से शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं राष्ट्र की एकता, अखंडता और सुरक्षा को बनाए रखने के लिए स्वयं को समर्पित करूंगा और अपने देशवासियों के बीच यह संदेश फैलाने का भी भरसक प्रयत्न करूंगा। मैं यह शपथ अपने देश की एकता की भावना से ले रहा हूं, जिसे सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल की दूरदर्शिता एवं कार्यों द्वारा संभव बनाया जा सका। अब मैं अपने देश की आंतरिक सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करने के लिए अपना योगदान करने का भी सत्यनिष्ठा से संकल्प करता हूं।
On to some more developments. Amid reports of mounting tension with the RBI, the Finance Ministry has said that the government has respected autonomy of the central bank and has been holding extensive consultations with it on many issues. It said that both the government and the RBI in their functioning have to be guided by public interest and the requirement of the Indian economy. In this report, let's take a look at some of the factors that led to the differences between the government and the central bank, which culminated in the former invoking Section 7 of the RBI Act.
In an unprecedented move, the government has cited the never-before-used power of issuing directions to RBI governor to seek a resolution to differences with the central bank. The government sent at least 3 letters on different issues ranging from prompt corrective action framework to liquidity management and sought consultation under Section 7 of the RBI Act, which gives it powers to issue any direction to the central bank governor on matters of public interest. In a statement, the Finance Ministry said that the autonomy for the central bank within the framework of the RBI Act is an essential and accepted governance requirement. Both the government and the RBI in their functioning have to be guided by public interest and the requirement of the Indian economy. For this purpose, extensive consultations on several issues takes place between the government and the RBI from time to time.
Government has its own view, election is there. Central government and the Reserve Bank has its own view, because the Reserve Bank feels that the banking sector is not performing well because there is a shortage of capital adequacy, and there is a huge non-performing asset because there is the economic situation is very slow, not only because of the Indian conditions, because of the international reasons also. There is always a consultation and there is always give and take, and I think there have been earlier also such tussles between various governors and the central government, but it was always settled on the table.
The Finance Ministry and the RBI are said to have differed on the central bank's handling of weak public sector banks, tight liquidity in the market, and ways of resolving bad loans in the power sector. The rift between the government and the RBI became public on October 26th when the central bank made its disagreement with authorities public in a hard-hitting speech by Deputy Governor Viral Acharya. In his speech, the RBI Deputy Governor said the government was interfering with the working of the central bank. Defending RBI's independence, Acharya said failure to save it would incur the wrath of financial markets. Days later, on October 30th, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley blamed the RBI for the bad loan crisis in the country. He said the central bank had failed to check indiscriminate lending during 2008 to 2014, leading to the present NPA crisis in the banking industry.
RBI is ultimately accountable to the Finance Ministry, and in that sense, now one could argue, what is it accountable for? It is accountable for its overall balance sheet. When the RBI pumps liquidity in, it acquires liabilities and vice versa. So I would say that really the issue is that of, when you talk of the relationship between the Reserve Bank and the Finance Ministry, there's a strong case for independence.
Section 7 of the RBI Act, which deals with management, has never been invoked before in the history of independent India. This provision took center stage earlier this year when the Allahabad High Court was hearing a petition from power companies who challenged stringent non-performing assets norms notified by the RBI in February, referred to as the February 12th circular. The court had asked the central government to hold consultations with the RBI under Section 7 of the RBI Act 1934 on the way forward for stressed power assets within 15 days. Even though the High Court had stressed that Section 7 of the RBI Act was put on the statute book in a bid to arrive at a harmonious conclusion and evolve a consensual position, the government at that time had decided against using the provision. Since the clause was never invoked in the past, there were various ways to interpret it. Going back in history, the RBI had itself drafted a provision combining the provisions of the Bank of England Act 1946 and the Commonwealth Bank of Australia Act 1945 on the central government's powers to issue directions to the central bank. It had, however, suggested that the Act make it clear When government decided to act against the advice of the RBI governor, they took the responsibility for the action they wished to force on the Reserve Bank. However, the government at that time was not in favor of this provision and the clause was redrafted accordingly. Section 7 of the RBI Act was amended in 1949 to empower the central government to issue directions to the central bank in public interest. With inputs from Annu Diwan, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
The Supreme Court has asked the Centre for pricing details of 36 Rafale fighter jets that are being purchased from France, agreeing that strategic and confidential information need not be disclosed. The Apex Court asked the Centre to provide the details in a sealed cover in 10 days. Attorney General K.K. Venugopal expressed reservations about disclosing the details of pricing of the jets, saying the documents are covered by the Official Secrets Act. The top court then observed that if pricing is something exclusive which can't be shared, then an affidavit should be filed to the effect. The Apex Court said the Centre must bring details of the decision-making process of the deal in the public domain, except those that are confidential. The Supreme Court also observed that information regarding induction of the Indian offset partner be given to the court and the petitioners. Hearing a petition by Advocate Prashant Bhushan and former Union Ministers Arun Shourie and Yashwant Sinha, seeking a court-monitored CBI investigation in the procurement of the fighter jets, CJI Ranjan Gogoi said it can only happen after the CBI puts its house in order. The Delhi High Court on Wednesday sentenced 16 former policemen to life imprisonment for a case in 1987 in the killings of 42 people belonging to a minority community in Hashimpura, Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. A bench of Justices S. Murlidhar and Vinod Goyal reversed a trial court's verdict that had acquitted the accused. The bench termed the massacre targeted killing of unarmed persons by the police. All 16 convicts who have now retired from the service were convicted for murder, kidnapping, criminal conspiracy and destruction of evidence under the Indian Penal Code. The High Court also allowed BJP leader Subramanian Swamy's plea to make public the report of Uttar Pradesh Police's CBCID while declining his plea for further investigation. On May 22, 1987, 50 people of a minority community were picked up by a PAC personnel from Hashimpura village in Meerut. 42 bodies were found in a canal.
It has been upheld, so I am very happy on that score. But there was I cannot believe that these PAC officers could have independently taken a decision to do this, because it would have required a lot of support from the top. And since I had said that Mr. Chidambaram was there before the massacre and after the massacre, so he should have been questioned. So when the full details come out, I'll see. Now that they have been convicted, there's only one place to go, that is to the Supreme Court.
And Vice President Venkaiah Naidu on Wednesday arrived in Botswana on first leg of his three-nation Africa visit. Upon his arrival, he was welcomed by Botswana Vice President. Naidu is accompanied by a high-level delegation, including Minister of State for Social Justice and Empowerment, Krishan Pal Gurjar, 2 members of Parliament and a team of senior officials. In continuation of New Delhi's enhanced engagement with Africa, Vice President will meet his Botswana counterpart and hold delegation-level talks. He will also inaugurate the 13th Annual Global Expo Botswana 2018. During his visit to Zimbabwe, the Vice President will call upon the President. On his final leg of the visit to Malawi, Naidu will call on its President. He will also inaugurate the Jaipur Foot Camp to mark the 150th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi there. He will also meet and exchange views with Indian diaspora in all the 3 countries. His week-long visit will culminate on 6th of November. And some more developments. India jumped 23 positions in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index. With this, India is now ranked 77 out of 190 countries in 2018 a development that could help the country attract more foreign investments. It was ranked 100 in 2017, making a leap of 30 places. The World Bank released its latest Doing Business report on Wednesday in New Delhi. It has improved its ranks by 53 points in the last 2 years and 65 positions in the last 4 years. Addressing a news conference, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said that India can crack into top 50 if it improves on time taken for registering real estate, starting business and enforcement of contracts.
पोजीशन नंबर 142 पे थे, वी वर 142। तो 142 से 5 साल में 50 तक पहुंच जाएं, ये शायद आज तक वर्ल्ड बैंक बिजनेस रैंकिंग्स में हुआ नहीं है। 3 साल बाद हम 100 नंबर पे थे, 4 साल बाद हम 77 पे थे।
And with that, time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now the news from Chhattisgarh, where the death toll in Tuesday's Dantewada Naxalite attack rose to 4 after a critically injured policeman died in a hospital in Raipur. 35-year-old Assistant Constable Rakesh Kaushal, who received grievous bullet injuries, died during the treatment. 2 policemen and a Doordarshan cameraman were killed on Tuesday when Naxalites ambushed a police patrol party in election-bound Chhattisgarh's Dantewada district. The incident took place at around 11 a.m. at Sameli camp near Nilavya village. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Raman Singh convened an emergency meeting of officials and asked them to intensify operations against the extremists. Singh held a meeting with senior bureaucrats and police officials and reviewed the law and order situation in the Naxal-affected areas.
बाहर से भी बहुत बड़ी संख्या में मीडिया आ रहे हैं और स्थानीय लोग भी घूम रहे हैं, तो एक सुरक्षा की आवश्यकता है। जो घटनाएं हुई, उस घटना में कहाँ पुलिस को और बेहतर करना था, उस सब बातों को डीजी नक्सल ऑपरेशन, डीजी पुलिस और सीएस के साथ बैठ के बात किया। तो मुझे लगता है कि आगे के लिए पूरे न केवल बस्तर के लिए, बाकी सभी जगह हम सभी दल के लोगों का, सभी मीडिया का बेहतर सुरक्षा और कैसे हो सकता है, उसके लिए एक रोड मैप लोगों ने बनाया।
Central Vigilance Commission is likely to summon CBI Director Alok Verma and Special Director Rakesh Asthana to record their statements as part of an inquiry being conducted on Supreme Court's direction. At present, the Commission is in the process of examining files related to the cases, and no summons have been issued to both of them in connection with the probe so far. In another development, a Delhi court today reserved its verdict on the bail plea of CBI DSP Devendra Kumar, arrested in connection with bribery allegations involving Rakesh Asthana. On Tuesday, Kumar was sent to 14-day judicial custody in a bribery case involving Rakesh Asthana. And former Union Minister M.J. Akbar recorded his statement in a defamation case against journalist Priya Ramani at Delhi's Patiala House Court on Wednesday. Akbar told the court that damage has been caused to him due to the false allegations of sexual misconduct levelled against him. The allegations of incident dating back to 20 years were first made by journalist Priya Ramani. Thereafter, many other journalists made similar allegations of sexual misconduct, leading to Akbar resigning from the Union Council of Ministers on 17th of October. The next hearing will be on November 12th, when the statements of witnesses named by Akbar will be recorded. And now the news from the national capital. Amid the deteriorating air quality in the national capital, the Central Pollution Control Board has directed the state pollution control bodies to start criminal prosecution against those not following the directives. CPCB has directed Punjab, Haryana and Delhi to start criminal prosecution against agencies or individuals who do not comply with directives to check air pollution. It has also issued directions to construction agencies, municipal corporations and land-owning industries to comply with the directions of the NGT and the CPCB and ensure corrective actions within 48 hours in cases of air polluting activities. Meanwhile, the national capital's air quality turned very poor a day after recording severe pollution. Delhi Metro's Pink Line was flagged off for passengers on Wednesday by Union Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri and Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. With the opening of 17.8 kilometers Shiv Vihar Trilokpuri Sanjay Lake section of the Pink Line, with 15 new stations, the Delhi Metro network has expanded to 314 kilometers with 229 stations. With this, Delhi has joined a select group of cities like London, Beijing, Shanghai and New York that have an operational metro network of over 300 kilometers. The highlight of this section is the presence of 3 interchange stations, Anand Vihar, Karkarduma and Welcome. The entire 59-kilometer Pink Line now connects Shiv Vihar in East Delhi to Majlis Park in North. The stretch connecting Majlis Park to Lajpat Nagar in South Delhi was opened earlier in the year in 2 phases. With this, the Delhi Metro will be running 4,749 trips a day, the highest ever so far. The new Karkarduma station at the Pink Line is now 2nd highest metro station on the entire network at a height of 21 meters above the ground.
15 के 15 स्टेशन एलिवेटेड हैं और लगभग 35 मिनट में आप ये जो डिस्टेंस है शिव विहार से त्रिलोकपुरी संजय लेक, ये रफली ट्रैवल टाइम रहेगा। इस सेक्शन को बनाने में काफ़ी चैलेंजेस आई। इसमें 10 से ज़्यादा पॉइंट्स ऐसे हैं जो जिसमें वेरी शार्प कर्व्स हैं, यानी जो भी कर्व जो 300 मीटर से कम हो उसको हम शार्प कर्व मानते हैं, और एक कर्व मेरे ख्याल से 200 मीटर से भी कम है, 197 मीटर्स का भी कर्व है।
And officials and workers of the Rajya Sabha Secretariat staged an act based on Ramayana at GMC Balayogi Auditorium in the Parliament. The dance drama was presented to honour of the retiring officers of the Secretariat. The cultural presentation was attended by Rajya Sabha Secretary General Desh Deepak Verma, along with many senior officials of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha Secretariats. In the ceremony, Secretary General Desh Deepak Verma felicitated the officers of the Secretariat retiring this year and also lauded the artists for staging the dance drama.
मैंने कहा था कि लेट द एम्प्लॉइज ऑर्गेनाइज अ प्रोग्राम लाइक दिस। मुझे उस समय मालूम नहीं था कि इतना अच्छा कार्यक्रम राज्यसभा के एम्प्लॉइज़ के द्वारा आयोजित किया जा सकता था, और उसमें जो कलाकार के तौर पे जो कर्मचारी काम कर रहे थे, जो अधिकारी काम कर रहे थे, जो कलीग्स इसमें थे, ये अंदाज़ा लगाना मुश्किल था कि ये कोई सधे हुए कलाकार नहीं हैं, बल्कि हमारे राज्यसभा के ही हमारे साथी अधिकारी कर्मचारी हैं।
And international news now. In a bid to reshape immigration policies in the United States, President Donald Trump has said he will seek to limit the right of citizenship for certain children born in the US. The president said that he would make the move through an executive order. But citizenship to US-born children is granted under 14th Amendment of the Constitution, which cannot be changed by the President. That would require action by Congress and US states. Since 2005, Republicans in the US Congress have regularly offered legislation ending birthright citizenship for children born in US if their parents were in the United States illegally. But the legislation has never advanced, even when the House of Representatives or Senate was under the Republican control. And that's all we have for you in this edition of News Tonight. For more news and updates, keep watching Rajya Sabha television. Namaskar.